Hi, it's Iyada, Vedic astrologer, with my forecast for the upcoming new moon on Tuesday, September 3rd. The moon meets the sun and renews itself for another lunar cycle at 17 degrees of sidereal Leo in the lunar mansion of Purva Phalguni. All of us who have natal planets or the ascendant in Purva Phalguni will experience this new moon intensely. On one hand, we have the moon and the sun standing in opposition to Saturn, the planet of time and karma, who delays things and forces us to experience our conditioning and resistance. Where Saturn intervenes, there's always friction and often pain, because growth and change are never easy. Additionally, Jupiter squares both from sidereal Taurus, and this T-square in fixed signs puts a lot of pressure on us, trying to accelerate or force the necessary change for us to stand in our true light instead of hiding in the shadows. The fire sign of Leo, ruled by the sun itself, is where we are supposed to shine in our unique way. But if and how we do this depends on where we are on the vertical axis of our growing and unfolding consciousness. Most people live in the first two chakras below the navel, where power struggles, fear, comparison, and attachments are the foundation on which our life is built. As long as we are identified with the little self, we will always try to outshine others, to impress others, to be better, to win, whilst at the same time we experience fear of not measuring up, of being a complete failure or fraud. We are now strongly called to dismantle our lower nature so that we are no longer governed by our own shadow material, our fears, past experiences, and trauma, that is our reptilian brain, but follow the guidance of our higher self. That is, we must climb up a floor where real power resides, and that is the power of choice. We can choose to listen to the inner guidance and not to the whispers from dark voices, from the inner judge, and not to the random opinions of others. We have the power to choose light and faith, love and truth. Only when the power of love is stronger than the love for power, this world will change. We are at a turning point of human evolution, experiencing all the changes, the chaos, the challenges, and the quantum leaps that come with the entrance into a new world age. About 90 years ago, humans discovered how to split the atom, and that resulted in weapons so lethal that the destructive force on Earth became stronger than the creative force. Life on Earth has serious difficulties to sustain itself. The only way to overcome this predicament is to strengthen our creative force and become conscious co-creators of reality. A human being conscious of our all true nature and how we are all interconnected and one, would never use those weapons, would never kill another human being. But how do we become true co-creators of reality? What does it take and what makes it so challenging? The sign of Leo calls us to establish our kingdom of light and love, faith and truth here on earth. But we prefer to procrastinate. We delay the choices that we made and the actions that we want to take. We sabotage ourselves and lie to ourselves. Why would we do that? Why would we choose the lower floors instead of climbing up to the rooftop? The problem is that we are not always aware that our choices on autopilot keep imprisoning us in a limited version of ourselves in the lower floors. And we are not always honest with ourselves either. Purva Falguni, the lunar mansion where the new moon falls in the sky, is governed by Venus, who finds herself together with Ketu, the lunar south node, which holds our karmic past in sidereal Virgo. As you can see, Mars in sidereal Gemini happens to square Virgo, and that works as a formidable force that aims to dismantle our lies and emphasizes our power of choice. We live in a world where more people lie than tell the truth, including newspapers, social media, and politicians who are supposed to be leaders. The question is that the world and consciousness itself, at this turning point of ages, need people who choose to live in truth and light and love. But we need courage and faith to do so. Why? Purva Falguni is the most creative lunar mansion and stellar force, right in the heart of the constellation of Leo, which means that we can become very inspired and passionate about new ideas and possibilities. It is almost like an inner fire that makes us feel exuberant and joyful and helps us to break through patterns of stagnation and resistance. It is kind of a magnetic force within us that pulls us toward the light. But what light? The inner light that guides our path, or just the limelight of enjoying being the center of attention? Venus, being the ruler of Purva Falguni, indicates the pitfall of being too dependent on the approval of others. We are afraid to lose the love of others and what ties us to others if we change. And therefore we twist and bend and buckle to keep fitting in, even if it hurts. Our tribal identification with the role that family, the ties of blood, expects of us is strong, as well as our gender, racial, ethnic, sexual, and class identity. That is the identification with our individual and collective history. Individuation is not easy because those left behind will experience it as abandonment or betrayal. But it is the only way to grow to one galactic family. Venus in Virgo speaks to one particular challenge that we must face on our path of individuation, and that is self-esteem. self-esteem and individuation are strongly interlinked and necessary for becoming a conscious co-creator, because we need to trust ourselves when we start to navigate the inner, not visible world. If we doubt what we perceive and question the intuitive hunches that we receive because others tell us otherwise, we are lost because we cannot rely on the inner guidance. In the quantum age we live in, and on our way to live here on earth as a spiritual being, self-esteem is no longer about the outer self, about the family or class we were born in, about social status, money or reputation, but much more about the inner self. We have realized that matter is just frozen light. Our experience is based more and more on energy and perception. The further we go up on the vertical axis that I spoke about, the lighter or less dense we become. But we must build our self as a whole functioning consciousness. That means that we must learn to trust ourselves, our perception and inner voice, that we take hold of ourselves and care truly for our well-being. Once we choose to take this step and engage fully with our higher self and the inner guidance, we can no longer fool ourselves. We must choose what truly benefits our health and what empowers us. And if we do otherwise, we must live with the consequences of our choices, fully aware of what we are doing to ourselves and perhaps to others. And that forces us to make other, better choices and live in coherence, which implies that we must leave behind people, secure hiding places, as well as compensatory behaviors that until now gave us license to indulge in things or stay in situations that are obviously not good for us. What do we choose at this point of our incredible, beautiful, significant, and challenging journey? Heaven asks us for a commitment to self-empowerment. Many blessings to all of you, and see you soon for the eclipse of the full moon on September 18th. Take care.